Hello, all, and welcome to this episode of the Endless Spiral podcast. You're all very welcome. I am, as always, your host, Keith Russell. On this episode, I am joined by Billy Cross, who is the founder of Anxiety United. Anxiety United is a free to use platform for sharing resources, sharing advice, and for people kind of to share their stories and experiences with anxiety and mental health. Billy has his own podcast called the Breakdown Podcast, which has been nominated for Podcaster and Vlogger of the Year this
Come
year
on.
in the 2021 Mental Health Blog Awards. Well done, Billy.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, so Billy, you're very welcome. How are
It's
you?
good to be here. I'm good. I'm good. Nice. The
Good.
sun's out this morning, so it's all positive.
Yeah. Good, good. And the sun's actually shining here as well, which is kind of unusual for Ireland, but
Right.
I'll take it.
Exactly. The weather's been terrible lately.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. Well, let's crack on with things. I was thinking maybe, Billy, if we want to maybe take a little step back in time and maybe you want to tell people a little bit about kind of yourself and Anxiety United and maybe what kind of spurred you to set it up and all that type of stuff.
Okay. Okay. So we're going way back. I
We're
think
going
we're
way back.
going I think it's like 15 years. I think my first ever experience of anxiety or panic. Before that, like I'm 41 now. I know I don't look it. Like, don't worry about
I'm
that.
40, I don't look at either.
Okay, we're good. We're good. No, you look about 50, 55. I would have thought.
Yeah, it's only on the inside.
Yeah, yeah. So about 15 years ago, I had just a panic attack out of the blue. I don't think I'd ever even heard of the term panic attack. I didn't know anything about like anxiety. I think I obviously knew depression, like that's been flowered around for years, but anxiety was nothing that I'd ever heard of. Then just had this panic attack out of the blue. I don't know what brought it on. I've got a few ideas as to like I weren't the best of citizens back then, maybe using a bit of weed back then.
Mm,
So I don't know whether that was the trigger or not, but I had that panic attack. And from that moment, like 15, maybe 16 years ago, like my life has completely changed. Like everything just changed. Lost friends over the years, lost jobs, lost everything. Like
mm,
a marriage, I lost like my family pretty much. So everything, it just went downhill over a period of about maybe 5, 6 years. And then I think 7 years ago, I felt myself on a good path. I was making progress. I'd been through all kinds of therapy like CBT, NHS, private, tried
mm.
everything that you could try. And I just started making progress. And then I thought, I'll set up a website and I want to like document my journey. I'd already been making videos like way before Anxiety United, like maybe 10 years ago, something like that. I was making videos, putting them on YouTube, just because I was agoraphobic. So, like a fear of leaving my home or just the
Mm.
feeling of not being able to escape a situation. So, I used to like video record myself walking to my local post box. And that was the thing that sort of over the years, I'd just do this and I'd film myself going shopping, like
Yeah,
experiencing anxiety and just sharing what happens to me so other people could see it, whether they could relate or just to understand like what it feels like.
yeah,
And then, like I say, 7 years ago, I set up Anxiety United just to share that journey and allow other people to come on and share their journey as well. And that was the idea behind it all.
yeah,
Like with the podcasts and that I was doing, I know I haven't done many of them, but it's just I just want other people to be able to share their story, and they don't have to be like celebrities and that have anxiety for 10 minutes and then are miraculously cured. Like I want real people to share their stories because they're the people that are struggling. Like they can't get help. So
yeah,
that was the idea of it. Is just and then just like put resources together. Everything's free on there. Nobody's ever paid for anything off there. So there's like free meditation, relaxation audio, stuff like that. All my videos, the CBT worksheets and stuff. And that's where it's at. That's what it's
yeah.
about.
And
It's about giving something back. But the problem that I found was over maybe the last, I don't know, like 3 years ago, I think I split from my then wife, which I'm happy about now. Like it was the best thing that's ever happened to me, I think. But back then, I was concentrating so much on anxiety. Like everything I did, it was either about making a video or how can I make progress. And I just felt like I was completely consumed with it all. But over the last few years, I've really stepped back. Like I don't do anywhere near as many videos anymore. I don't talk about anxiety. I don't post about it. I don't read books on it, research it, or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just try and get on with it. Like that's the
Yeah.
secret to my thing. And I don't know. Like
Mm.
meeting the girl that I'm with now, we've been together for 2 years, and since I've been with her, my life has changed so much. So I don't know whether it's down to like just being happier or
Mm.
like
Yeah.
I was
And
in
have
a
you found? Yeah. Go on.
go on, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, have you found maybe stepping back from doing as many videos has actually maybe kind of freed up a little bit about, some headspace for you?
Yeah, it's just not thinking about anxiety. Everything I used to do was about anxiety. If I went out somewhere, it would be I'm only going out to make a video to put on
Right.
the internet about anxiety. I'm going to go out, I'm going to be thinking about it, I'm going to be talking about it. I'm going to get home, I'm going to upload it, and then I'm going to watch other people comment on it, and it's all anxiety, everything.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just reached a point where it was like it's too much. It's too much. You can vote like yeah, it's just bad.
Mm.
You put that much energy into, even if it's trying to get over something, the fact that you're just constantly talking about it and thinking about it,
Yeah.
like you need to clear it out.
Yeah.
That's what I
And
did.
do you find maybe for the website, do you get a lot of people sending you content for the website? So rather than you sharing your story all the time, you're sharing other people's stories.
Yeah, that's what it used to be. So I think there's been 3 versions of the website. I did the very first version like maybe 6, 7 years ago.
Mm.
And it used to be like a social network. So it was kind of like a crap version of Facebook, although Facebook's trash anyway.
Yeah.
But it had like, I think we had about 5,000 members on there. And then the website got hacked
Oh.
like after a couple of years. So everything was compromised on there. So I just shut the whole thing down, like deleted all the members, took the whole website down, which was a right pain in the ass. I was really
Mm.
annoyed about it. But then I rebuilt the site and I made it more of like a blogging platform so other people could go on and share their stories. But then I was getting that much spam content of people offering bloody printer cartridges and all this crap that I
Yeah.
just decided, right, sack that. I'm just literally going to make the post myself. So, like about 6 months ago, that's what I decided. It was just, it's me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's it. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But that's what it is. Like
Yeah.
every now and again, I'll post something. Like I don't mind making resources for people, like helpful information and stuff like that. That's kind of where I'm at the moment. But
Mm.
yeah, that's
Because
it.
you've got a heap of content up there. I mean, that's what I was going to ask you. How long did it take you maybe to accumulate all of that stuff? But you've kind of explained that. I mean, like
Yeah,
three
it's been
versions of
over
the
the
website.
years. There was a
Mm.
couple of people helping me out right at the start. There was a guy called Alex. Like when I first started the Twitter thing, because that's what it all started. It was just a
Mm.
Twitter account.
Yeah.
And then we both worked on getting the Twitter to like 10,000 followers, and it happened really quickly. Like I was
Mm.
featured in my local paper, and that everything was great. And
Yeah.
then probably over the last like 3, 4 years, maybe it's just stagnant. I don't post. The only time I post on there is to share a link, either
Mm.
to a video or a resource or something. And because
Yeah.
I haven't been engaging with people, like I still get followers on there now, but if I tweet
Mm.
something, it doesn't get any interaction on there. So I just
Yeah.
don't bother with
Yeah.
social media anymore.
So you don't use any social media at all.
I use it personally, but not for
Y-
Anxiety United, really.
Yeah.
No.
So do you get much traffic to the website? Like, would you get a lot of maybe unique users going on and reading the resources now?
I do. I think there's a few articles on the website. There's one about Pure O and OCD, and that one
Mm.
gets a lot of hits. Like that's probably
Right.
the most popular article. It's one that I
Right.
didn't write. Somebody
Right.
else wrote it on the original website, but I
Right.
took a backup of it and re-uploaded it. So there's a
Yeah.
few articles. There's one on depersonalization,
Yeah.
like that. Those kind of articles get the hits.
Yeah.
So I mean, if there's stuff there, then
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
anybody gets a use out of it, then it's job done at the end of the day. That's what it's there for. I
Mm.
think most of the stuff comes from YouTube. Like that's the only place that I really put any time into is making a video. But I don't know. Most of the time, it's
Mm.
just me walking around some seaside somewhere because I'm having a good time. But
Yeah.
that's what life's about.
Yeah. Well, it's therapeutic for you as well, I suppose, isn't it?
I started making videos originally, like not only to share with other people, like this is what it feels like to have anxiety when you're in a supermarket. But it was also for me to look back on, like if I'd have, because dizziness has always been a thing for me with anxiety. Like that's the one symptom that
Me too.
seems to get me for some reason. So if
Yeah,
I'd
me
have
too.
an episode of dizziness or whatever, I'd make a video about it, talk about it, and then I don't know, 6 months down the line when I feel it again, I'd go back and I'd watch that video and I'd think, oh,
Mm,
like I
good idea.
didn't die. I had that. I had those
Mm,
exact same feelings. I've got them now, but I was able to survive.
yeah, that's a good
It's like
idea, actually.
journaling, basically, just in
Mm,
video format.
yeah,
I like the
yeah.
sound of my own voice.
Well, everyone else must as well, because as I mentioned in the intro, you've been nominated for Podcaster and Vlogger of the Year.
Yeah, man.
So how did that come about? Are you looking forward to it? Or, I mean, I think the voting is open now. We'll share
The
a
voting
link.
has, yeah, I think the voting closes on the 4th of June, is it, or something like that?
Yeah, I think the second
I
round of
asked about
voting.
it last year. I only
Yeah.
found out about it last year. Yeah,
Mm,
somebody, I think I did a podcast with a woman, I can't even remember her name. So that's good of me. Miss Anxiety or something like that. And she'd won it the year before, so I was like, I want some of that. So I asked them last year, when the hell is this all kicking off again? So
yeah.
that's how it's happened. But yeah, it'd be nice to get something. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but you know, it'd be nice to
Yeah.
get something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoy doing the
Mm,
podcast. Like, I think I've done 13 podcasts, like over the course of, I don't know, however long it's been. I think it was last year I started the breakdown thing. But I've
right.
done
Yeah.
podcasts before. I've done live streams and stuff like that. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Yeah. The live stream. Yeah, I haven't actually done any live ones myself. Yeah, I think I've done a few live Actually, no, they weren't live at all. No, I haven't done any.
So I've got two experiences of doing lives. The first
Mm,
one was maybe about 3 years ago, something like that. I was going live on YouTube, and I had my phone number on screen, and I was taking live calls while I was doing a live stream at like 11 o'clock at night. So I was knackered. I was anxious anyway because I was live.
yeah.
And then I just have random people calling up talking about anxiety, and it was horrible, horrific car crash. I had so many panic attacks during the recording. Like they're still on YouTube. I think it like the second or the third episode, I was freaking out for the whole thing. It
Yeah.
was horrible.
And
And then
why did you do it?
why did I do it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just something to do, I guess. I wanted to do
Okay.
a live stream. I like the
Mm,
idea of other people talking about their issues instead of me talking about mine all the time.
okay.
But it was just, I don't know. There's something about when you click that button and go live, it gets real. It gets real. But
Mm,
I did a thing called, when the lockdown first started over here, I did a thing called the decaf coffee morning. So every morning at 9 o'clock, I was going live for like an hour and just having a cup of tea. I know it's called decaf coffee, but I don't
mm,
even like coffee. But yeah, I'd sit and have a cup of tea, and like people could join and drop their comments and stuff, and we'd just pass a bit of time instead of watching Good Morning Britain or the news and just being down in the dumps with all the stuff that was going on. So that was the idea. But yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll start that as well.
Yeah. Very good. And we may as well share a link to people to vote for you. Do you know what the link is? I can't, it's on
Not
your
off the top
website,
of
isn't
my
it?
head. Yeah, yeah. There's buttons on the website. If you go to anxietyunited.com, you cannot miss it.
Yeah, there's one on the right, and there's a big yellow kind of banner on the
That's it. Yeah.
middle somewhere. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, as seen as this is also a mental health and sport podcast, we may as well mention sport somewhere. And as you
Come
said
on.
yourself, you're dressed like a PE teacher today.
I am. Every
So,
morning I wear this jacket. My daughter says, "You look like a PE teacher then." If only I was half as fit as a PE teacher.
yeah, yeah. Do you play any sport? Do you do any sport?
I don't anymore. I used to play football or
Mm,
soccer, depends
yeah,
who's watching.
depends who's watching.
I'm
Yeah.
a massive fan of mixed martial arts. Like that's
Oh,
my
okay.
thing. I prefer
Yeah.
watching the UFC now to watching the
Mm.
Premier League and stuff. Well, I'm a Birmingham City supporter, so we're not even in the Premier League, so
Mm. Well,
I
I'm a
don't really
United
follow
supporter,
football.
so I go on by last night's match.
You didn't have a good night, did you?
No, I didn't have a good night last night. No,
Mm,
I mean, I
mm,
suppose like the what I always say when I'm doing these, or even on the like a few blogs that I've done.
mm,
I always say about sport being an escapism for me. What's the
mm-hmm.
escapism last night?
Yeah, it's just stressful, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how it can have a negative effect on you as well. I mentioned that in my last blog I did, Where for me, sport can have such a negative effect on you as well. It's not
Yeah.
always positive, you know.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think it's good though because it's thinking about something externally
Yeah, yeah.
instead of just because that's what I find myself like everything's
Mm,
internalized, and that's when you've got a problem when you're just thinking constantly about how you feel. I noticed something the other day. I can't remember where I was. I think I was out like shopping or something like that, and I noticed this thing. It's like I don't know whether anybody else could relate, but when I feel okay, like my vision is wide, like I can see everything and everything's great. But when I start feeling anxious, it feels like my vision stops here and
yeah.
everything just becomes like I've got this, I don't know what it is, barrier around me, and I can't see anything. Like I can see,
Mm,
but my thoughts just stop there, and it's just everything is within this bloody 1 foot radius of me, and
mm,
that's all that matters. Like
yeah.
internalized thinking, fear, and everything else just goes out the window. It was mad when I was just sitting there and I actually noticed, like, I'm not looking around anymore. All I'm seeing is just like what's going on in here. My eyes
Yeah.
aren't registering what I'm seeing. It's just
Mm,
all in here.
yeah. I can relate to that.
Mm,
I mean, you mentioned earlier on about the dizziness. That's one of the main things that I get with anxiety is the dizziness.
mm-hmm.
You know, and it kind of even when I kind of the anxiety kind of levels off a little bit, I still feel dizzy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then there's one thing that I get is kind of even when the dizziness then goes, I get this kind of creak in my neck. Maybe the next
Mm-hmm.
day, I suppose it's because you get really kind of tense,
It's
and then it's
tension.
supposed to,
Yeah, yeah.
the tension, and then when your body kind of starts to relax a little bit, I get this like it's like, and it goes from my neck into my shoulder blade, and
Mm-hmm.
it's in the same spot every single time.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I could be in agony with it. I mean, bits with it for it could be 4 or 5 days after it.
I get
You
exactly
know,
the same.
really.
I've often got sore neck and shoulders. It's painful. I always
Mm.
think that it's something to do with the way that I'm sleeping, but it can't be
I
like
used to think that,
every
but it's
freaking
not.
night.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
No, it's
Because
just
it's funny
it's
how when
from
you
the tension.
exactly, yeah, it has to be for the tension. Yeah, yeah.
Have
And
you
there's
ever
like
have you experienced vertigo?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
See, that's I've often thought that my very first panic attack was a vertigo spell because I've experienced it a few times in the last few years,
yeah.
and it kind of feels like that was the exact same feeling on that first night that I had the panic attack. Like I remember I was just sitting playing on the Xbox, and just felt really, really strange. I got up, started walking around, and went out the front of my house, and just it was like something out of a movie where you see trails on the lights and stuff.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
just going back in the house, trying to reach for the door handle, like it just felt everything was off, and ended up just lying on the bathroom floor and like
yeah.
called my dad because I lived at my dad's at the time. I had my son there because it was like the weekend, and just called my dad and said, "You need to come home, man. I think this is it. I'm on my way out." Rough.
Mm,
But then a few years ago, I had vertigo spells. Like I've had it a few times now. I've been to the doctors about it, and they say it's BPPV, like the benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, or whatever it is.
okay.
So like
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me so much anymore, but it's still
Mm,
horrible. I quit
yeah.
smoking because of vertigo because I
Did
couldn't.
you?
Yeah, I couldn't get out of bed. I never used to smoke in the house, so I had this mad vertigo spell. I spent a week in bed, couldn't get up for a cigarette. So that
Mm,
was it. I just decided if I don't need to, so I do.
yeah,
So I vape.
yeah.
I vape now. You may
You
have
vape now.
noticed
Yeah.
constantly.
I used to suffer from, well, as I said, the dizziness, but I have had the vertigo as well. Um, yeah, it's not. I haven't had it in a while, but yeah, I have had it. And then
Mm,
just when you say about lying on the bathroom floor, I actually had an anxiety attack probably about a month ago, maybe, or maybe a couple of months ago, and exactly the same. In the middle of the night, I thought I was having a stroke. I thought I was having a heart attack.
mhm,
Got
mhm.
up, struggled to the bathroom floor, lying on the bathroom floor. The same as you,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like the wife kind of comes in, to, like, thought I was having a heart attack.
Mhm,
My hands are shaking, you know, your heart's beating, your sweat is pumping out of me. You think you're gonna, I literally thought I was having a stroke,
mhm, mhm.
you know? And then, of course, the next day, the neck goes,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? You know,
Hmm.
it's amazing. But yeah. So I mean, and I had another wobble. It's funny that I had another wobble last week, and I even posted a kind of video, a small video of me.
Yeah.
I went out just to get some fresh air, and the reaction I had on Twitter, just from people, I didn't really think anything of it. It was just a little video,
Hmm.
just me, just kind of explaining how I'm feeling. Never did one before in my life,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I did one, and it's I know you said you don't get much interaction on Twitter, but I was amazed by the response I
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
to that
Yeah.
video. You know, I mean, social media, especially even Twitter, can be a nasty place at times, but it
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
also, I mean, that kind of spurred me to write a blog about the positives of social media. It can actually
Yeah.
be quite
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
positive place as well, you know?
Yeah. I
Um,
agree with that. I think it depends how you use it and what you're looking
yeah,
to get out of it.
yeah,
It's like if you go on there and you're just looking for support groups and constantly posting and asking for reassurance, then that's not a good thing. If you surround yourself like I did with other anxious people and all they're ever posting about is God, I feel like this, and then it makes you think, oh yeah, I feel a bit like that.
yeah,
It's not a good mindset to be in. I think if you go on it maybe just to share your information, like that's what I kind of do. I try
yeah,
not to go on and read. So I'm sorry if anybody's trying to get my attention. I ain't looking. I just go on and like post my stuff and then off.
right,
That's what I tend to do, and I don't. I rarely talk about anxiety on my personal Facebook profile and stuff like that. Like I'll share the odd video here and there, but yeah, I don't ever talk about it.
yeah,
I don't find it helpful anymore
mm, mm.
because I know
So,
that I can deal with it myself. That's the thing. Like you were just saying about having a did you have a panic attack? Did you say recently or anxiety?
anxiety
High
attack,
anxiety?
kind of,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So, like in the past, when I've been out, because I've I've been traveling only around the UK, but I've been traveling more in the last couple of years. I need to stop vaping. In the last couple of years around the UK and stuff, and like before I got with this my girlfriend that I'm with now, like that was something that I would never do. I'd never go traveling in that, but sometimes I feel myself edging towards panic. Like if we're walking around a beach or a shopping centre in a different place and I'm quite a way away from the car and knowing that I'm hundreds of miles away from home, like that, it can get me to start thinking that I'm on the brink of panic. But for some reason now, I recognize those thoughts now. So I'll feel it escalating and I can hear myself shouting in my own head, like, this is it, you can't do this, or you're going to panic, like the car's miles away, what are you going to do? But I don't know. There's something now where I recognize it, and I'm just like,
yeah, yeah.
I've heard all this before.
Just being able to recognize your triggers is so
Yeah,
important, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
something that I've noticed over the last, like maybe the last 12 months,
yeah,
that's made a massive difference. Massive difference.
yeah,
It's made it so I'm able to go and do more stuff because I know that those thoughts are just thoughts. That's all it is. Like
yeah,
I know I'm physically capable of doing
mm,
pretty much anything
yeah.
apart from running. 'Cause I'm out of shape, but we can work on that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, as you said, you're physically able to do it, but it's
Mm,
amazing. I mean, the amount of people I've spoken to now in the last while, just from doing this and that, is that when you go back and look in your past, the amount of, let's say, triggers or the amount of things that you can pick up on that you did or the way you were in the
mhm.
past, that you can say now that was anxiety, that was anxiety. That do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing how you can actually pick out these things from your past that at the time you didn't really think anything of.
Hmm.
You
I
know.
think for me, like stress is the main thing for me. Like
Mm,
if I'm stressed out, something isn't going right. I was with my ex for like 13 years, and it was a nightmare. Like I was an idiot for being there, but it was just comfortable, I guess, and I chose that comfortable over being courageous and going out and doing something. And then when we split and I was on my own for like a year, that was when things really took a big turn because it meant that I had to do this stuff. I had to stand up for myself and prove to myself as well as everybody else that yeah, I can do this. Like it's not a problem. Yes, I
yeah.
felt anxious, I felt bad at times, but now I'm reaping the benefits from that. Like it was the best decision, best thing that ever happened, and I'm happy now. Like, and
Yeah.
I think that plays a massive part in the way that I feel. I think if you feel down in the dumps and you've got anxiety and like you're trying to make progress, but you just don't feel right, I don't know. I think it plays
Mm,
a massive part. I think you have to try and get your shit in order as best you can. Like if you're not happy in something, then
yeah.
change it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
You've got to.
Yeah. And whether it's in, I mean, for me, just when like you were saying about just going and changing stuff, for me, it was work.
Hmm.
Work, as I said to you earlier on about before we started recording, I changed careers, but like I had one particular job, and that was just, I actually had two, but one in particular was just causing me so much anxiety
Hmm.
that I had, as you said, you just had to change it. I couldn't stay there. And
Yeah, yeah.
actually, the good thing from it was it kind of forced me to deal with my anxiety
Hmm.
even more, rather than I could the one particular job, I hadn't even been diagnosed at that stage. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? I was just kind of going around in circles, just kind of pushing things to one side, or
Yeah, yeah.
you know what X was. I suppose it forced me to actually deal with my anxiety,
Hmm.
and it just and then what happened then was that I was able to start kind of analyzing everything outside of work. So my anxiety would be, as you know yourself, it would start spilling into
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. Yeah.
You'd be in bad mood at home, or you wouldn't want to go out anywhere, or be snapping at
Mhm.
people or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Just consume.
amazing how just exactly, yeah, exactly. So
Mm.
it's amazing how just like a change can be just so helpful. As I was
Yeah,
speaking
yeah.
to someone only recently about just change. She's kind of having something similar with her job and that, and I'm like, you
Hmm.
just need to change.
Yeah, yeah,
Just need to
definitely.
change.
Well, I start like my job at the moment. I'm a web designer, self-employed, and
Mm,
I've been doing it for like 10, 11 years, I think. But the only reason I ever started doing that was because I didn't want to have to go out. I didn't want to have to go to
right.
work, and so it was kind of like I was avoiding everything doing that, setting that up then. So like it was a bad thing. Like as much as yeah, I enjoy doing it, and it's been all right. Like I've made a little bit of money off it. It's kept me going, kept me afloat. But I shouldn't have done it. I don't think it's
Right.
not helped me in any way. Like I've been
Okay.
sat in the house. Work. That's my excuse. Oh, do you want to come shopping? I can't. I've got to work. Like I can just use that. It's a bad
Mm,
thing. But
yeah.
hopefully, I'm getting like well, I am getting out more now. But I've got some like work to do outdoors and that, helping my brother out. So
Mm,
hopefully I
yeah.
can just get out more. But they're
And
like,
how? Yeah.
go on.
I was just gonna say, how have you been with the lockdown? Because like it's forced upon you then that you can't go out
Mm.
anywhere, or at least you can't really go all that far. I mean, I know over here in Ireland we've kind of been in lockdown a lot longer, but how have you been with kind of the coronavirus and the lockdown?
Do you
Has
know?
it really
Yeah,
affected you much?
no.
Mm,
I said it from the start. I didn't think it was going to make much of a difference to me personally. Like,
mm,
I didn't really go out that much anyway. I've probably been out more in the last 2 years than I had the previous 20. So it's been an improvement. Like even just going to the local shop and that, knowing that it's going to be a bit quieter
right.
at the start of lockdown. Like I enjoyed that going in the supermarkets, knowing that they were only allowing so many people in. Like everything just felt easier to me. People were further away, so I
Yeah,
didn't get
yeah,
crowded round with people and like
mm,
queuing and stuff. Yeah, everything
yeah,
just felt better. I enjoyed
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's a fair point. It's a good point,
So
actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then we went like I think I've been to Wales and Devon in the last like 12 months, and maybe over to Skegness. I'm not sure, but we've been away. I've been away a few times,
Yeah.
and just it's not felt any different. Felt more
Yeah.
relaxed, if anything. But I think that's down to my mindset. It's down to how I'm approaching these things. When
Yeah.
we went to Wales like just over a month ago, me and my girlfriend, and the night before we left, I was excited about it. Like I can't remember the last time I felt like that. It was like being a kid at Christmas. I couldn't sleep. I was
Yeah.
itching to get up in the morning and drive like 2, 3 hours away from home
Yeah.
instead
That's
of
amazing.
freaking out about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
That's
such a
brilliant.
difference. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
amazing.
that's when I kind of know. That's when I know that I'm moving in the right direction.
Yeah. 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 And do you have anything coming up for a kind of your Anxiety United? I mean, obviously apart from the awards that are coming up, do you have anything planned, or are you just gonna tip away with
You know
the
what?
way?
No, yeah, I don't. I tend not to plan anything with it anymore. I was
Mm,
going to do a video about like returning to work because that's kind of something that I'm working on at the minute. So
right.
maybe that coming up. But I have this thing where I want to do something big. I want to do a big challenge. I don't know what. Like
Right.
maybe the three peaks in the UK or something like that, like Ben Nevis and Snowdon, something like that. I want to do something, and I don't want to do it. It's not. I don't know. I don't know why I want to do
You just want to do it for
it.
yourself?
Yeah, I'd raise money for a charity somewhere. I don't know who, maybe
Yeah.
Young Minds or something like that,
Yeah.
and just do something like it's crazy. The thought of me even thinking that I would like to go and do something like that—that's why I want to do it. I'd love
Yeah.
to do something like that.
Take yourself out of your comfort zone as well.
Yeah, yeah, completely out of it. Because I'm
Yeah.
so unfit. Like I'd probably die on the way up, but it'd be worth it, man.
Shouldn't be
Think of the
laughing, but
views.
take it to views. Yeah. It'd be the only interaction you've got on Twitter in a year.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh
Well,
well.
what I usually do kind of towards the end of the podcast is I usually let the guests kind of have the final word on maybe some kind of something they want to share with people, or maybe a little inspirational quote that they usually might have. Have you got anything you
Right.
want to share, or do you want to just tweet it out later on?
Let's have a think. Off the top of my head, no. So the tagline for Anxiety United used to be, and this was about everybody coming together. And like, because we're all in this kind of together, like everybody's got their issues. But the tagline used to be, "Experience is our teacher. What we learn, we must share." And that's the way that I work with everything. So if I pick something up along the way, like I will always let people know, whether it's on Twitter, YouTube, or whatever. And I think other people should do that too. Like anything that you pick up that works for you, because I see so many people like offering programs and this, that, and the other, saying like this is the way to cure anxiety, but it doesn't work for everybody. Like it might work for some people, but it doesn't work for everybody. So the more options out there for people, that's what I say. Like if
Yeah.
mindfulness works for you, or a particular meditation, or like even vitamins do help some people, and CBD helps some people. So if you find something that works, share it, and somebody else can try it. And if it works for them, hey presto. And if it
Yeah.
don't, they tried and they're on to the next one.
Yeah.
That's because nothing's worked for me. Like I've tried all the books that you can buy. I've tried programs, spent money, been private, tried healthy
Mm,
eating, tried exercise, and nothing really got me to the point where I wanted to be. Like
mm,
I'm there now. I think like I still have anxiety issues, obviously,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
like I'm in a way better place. You just you find your way, whatever it takes.
Yeah. 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 Well said. Very well said. I totally agree with that. So before we let you go, uh, we give everyone a little another chance to get on your website and vote for you. So get on to
Hell yeah.
anxietyunited.com and vote for Billy. You can't miss it. It's the big yellow box towards the middle. Just click on that, and he's got
Podcaster
um
of the year and vlogger of the year.
yeah, yeah, there you go.
I'd prefer vlogger. Like I put more effort into the vlogs than that. The podcasts I haven't done that for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
I did one podcast this year. So I'm a bit of a fraud, to be honest. But oh well. So I
Well,
do
sure,
do
if you win.
vlogs.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
I deserve it.
You
Come
do
on.
deserve it. Yeah, you do deserve it. Yeah. Right, guys. We let Billy go and vape for a while there, and
Need to.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thanks all for listening, guys. That was really interesting chat. Thanks again, really, for taking the time to have a
You're
chat with us
welcome.
today. Thanks very much. We leave it there, guys, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye for now.